How's the quarterback battle shaping up?
Quarterback battle's shaping out. Those guys are competing at a really high level. We're putting them in a lot of different situations, working them with different units. And at the end of the day, what we're evaluating is how well they're moving the offense and how well they're putting the ball in the end zone. If they're pushing the ball down the field, if they're getting the ball to the right spot. And, when you go through a competition like this, they need to understand it's not we need you to make more off-schedule plays, just make the play when going through your progressions and going through your reads.
Could you foresee playing two quarterbacks in the first half of the opener?
Maybe. I think that would depend how it goes. I think it'll depend on how tomorrow goes. I think there's some variables that would kind of dictate that for us. But I wouldn't. We have three guys that have all played college football, and they've all played college football at a high level. So I think there could definitely be some different combinations throughout the season.
Even three quarterbacks in the first half?
Hey, maybe at the same play. Maybe on the same play. Then what's the defense going to do?
CJ's been very productive in camp, and obviously throwing against the twos and the threes is a different animal than the starters. But do you get to the point where you say, hey, let's give them a look a little bit more against the ones and twos and see what we have here?
Yeah. We're going to try to maybe be a little bit more balanced in the reps tomorrow, just because it's going to be our last true long scrimmage. And he has been super impressive, and you can look at it two ways. You can say, well, he's been, moving the ball against the threes, but he's also got, some freshman offensive linemen in front of him that sometimes are going the wrong way, and there's people running through unblocked. So he's found a way to just move the ball and make plays, and again, that's what we're looking for.
Are you impressed by his mobility?
Yeah, I am. He definitely moves better and throws it better than maybe even we would have anticipated recruiting him. Obviously, it was a short recruitment process with him out of the portal. We got to watch some of his games at Ohio, but until you actually get on the field with him and see him move and throw in person, you really don't know.
How has the quarterback competition played out compared to maybe what you expected going in?
Yeah, I knew it was going to be competitive because all three of those guys are really good people, really good players. Just like we tell those guys all the time, we're waiting on one of you guys to come take it. So we don't want to be forced into a decision. Obviously, we're going to have to make a decision. But I'd love for one of those guys to come out here and just blow it up tomorrow.
What's the latest you think you can make that decision?
I think game week. I think, we would obviously like to have something in place and let that guy get comfortable as we start getting into the game plan. So we'll introduce UC Davis about midweek next week, and then obviously game week will be full speed ahead on Davis, so we'd like to have a guy by then.
Is there a chance we won't announce it at all?
Yeah, we don't want to give Plow too much information, No, I think when we're ready, we'll be ready and we'll announce it.
Is Vedekani going to be ready to play in the opener?
I hope so. He's working extremely hard with our team physicians and trainers, so we're just taking it day by day right now. I know he's a lot better than he was 2 weeks ago.
Can McDonald play center if need be?
Yeah, so right now what I'm trying to do is train multiple guys at center. What I do not ever want to have be the case is we're in the middle of a game and we don't have somebody that's got a lot of built-in reps at that spot. So, last year was a great example of that. I repped Brian Driscoll and Matthew Cindric all fall camp, and Matthew Cindric tears his bicep the first half of the first game, and Brian Driscoll had to slide over and start the rest of the season there. So I'm trying to make sure that we have 2 to 3 guys that are always ready to go at that spot.
And Sweeney can play guard center?
Yes. Sweeney, Wyckoff, and McDonald, all three can play all 3 spots.
You've got a lot of viable receivers who have had really good camps. How do you sort that out? You can't let 10 guys play.
Yeah. No, we probably won't play 10 guys, but we're going to find some roles for some guys. And, we'll personnel and we'll package different plays and different personnel groupings for those guys and put them in the right spot to make plays and utilize their ability. At the end of the day, that's my job as the coordinator, is to coordinate who's out there for what we're trying to get accomplished. And so I think they've all got unique skill sets. We've got the big, tall, long guy, Tobias, that can run and just blow the top off. You got, Tron, who's, again, rangy, long, can be a down-the-field threat. And then you've got some really twitchy guys that can do a lot of different things coming in and out of the backfield in the quick quick game, intermediate game, and then also, still being explosive enough and fast enough to get down the field as well.
Are you impressed by the way that Keon can shake coverage?
Yeah, he's been really impressive. I really like the way that he works. I mean, I get here at about 5 o'clock every morning, and I go jump on the treadmill for a little bit just to clear the mind, and he's the first guy in there. He gets on the jug machine every morning at 6 a.m. in the weight room, and I've been waiting for him to fall off. He hasn't fallen off yet, so I think that's just kind of how he's wired.
Are Mikey and Brady two very similar players, stature and skill set?
Yeah, JB's a little bit bigger. Mikey's probably a little bit twitchier. Both really good players, though. I mean, they both are going to help us tremendously.
If you have 80, 85 plays, offensive plays in a game, how many receivers do you expect to play?
I would say between 6 to 8. We'll have kind of a 2. We'd like to be 2 deep at every spot, so we're obviously going to base out of 11 personnel. So we're going to have a tight end on the field the majority of the time. So that leaves us 3 receivers, and we want to at least have 2 guys at each spot that we feel like can roll in there. So that's 6, and then we'll also have some different things that we'll do with maybe 7 and 8.
You figure to have 2 or even 3 tight ends in games in a time sometimes.
Yeah. So again, I think situational football is going to be huge for us this year. We've got to improve in that area, whether it's third down, whether it's short yardage, whether it's red zone, score zone. And so building different personnel packages, getting different people on the field, I think obviously is going to give the defense more looks and more things that they have to focus on, and give us an opportunity to go score in those situations.
A lot of times those heavy tight end sets eliminate an offensive threat, but you've got situations where you can put a couple of guys out there that are just as likely to catch the ball as the receivers. That help in your planning?
Yeah, and they're big bodies too, right? So, okay, even if you split them out and you play press man on them with a corner or a safety, we're big and physical enough at that position to still make plays.
Offensive line-wise, there's been some movement with guys moving to different spots, but the groupings have pretty much stayed the same. How much movement is there that you could anticipate maybe moving some other guys around?
Yeah, I think obviously the Vatakani piece will be huge on that. The 5 guys that have been going this week are have been the 5 most consistent. But I'm telling you, there's a couple guys behind them that are really pushing and really coming on, and I think it's going to be I tell those guys it's a constant evaluation. I mean, we get into the first game, you got to go play, and we got to make sure that we're playing at a high level. And if we're not, we're going to give somebody else the opportunity to prove that they can. And so, for the most part, we're pretty experienced up front. So I feel like I know what I have. Those guys are in year 2 of my system, and as far as run games, protections, verbiage, all of those things. So that's been great carryover, and we've kind of been able to go to a little bit more graduate level O-line play than we were at this time last year. We were just really teaching the scheme and the technique.
At any of the competition battles is tomorrow any kind of make or break for any of those guys?
Every day is make and break for those guys, and that's the way we want them to feel, and that's why we brought in competition, really, and that's at every position across the board. We want our guys, every time they step on the field, to feel like somebody's trying to take their job, and that's our job as coaches, is to make sure that we put the best 11 guys on the field.
With you not just being a coordinator but also an offensive line coach and run game coordinator, does it make more sense for you to be on the field, to be in the middle of the action?
I am going to be on the field this year, yeah. So I was obviously – and the other thing that changes it this year is we've got helmet-to-helmet communication and we've got iPads on the sideline. So for me in the past, I've called plays from the box because you only get one shot of seeing it from that bird's eye view. Well, now as soon as we get off the field, I'm watching the film on the sideline. So being able to make those adjustments, and then as the O-line coach, I have to be able to coach those guys on game day. I can't be in the box.
Yeah. Are you saying anything to the quarterback as he approaches the line of scrimmage?
There's certain plays that I will communicate a little bit more. There's also certain plays where I just want to give him the formation, the play call, the protection, and let him go. And I think you can give those guys too much information. Now, if I see a pressure coming and I want them to change the protection, man, all I got to do is push a button and we're sliding the protection the other way. So that's been pretty cool. But you definitely don't want to have paralysis by analysis. So I think there's a fine line by how much we put on their plates when there's so much going on the field. And at the end of the day, you still want them to be football players, not robots.
Does it shut down as the shot, or is it a game clock?
15 seconds. Yep, at 15 seconds, all communication will be cut off.